Nigel Farage here is playing with matches close to a fuel tank, isn't he, this summer? Good morning.
Finally, statistics have come out that you are all talking about that prove exactly what I have been saying for some time and what Nigel said loud and clear yesterday. Reform politicians are the only ones that are prepared to stand up and say how it is. The fact is that a quarter of rapes in this country are committed by foreign nationals, and yet foreign nationals account for 11% of the population. So comparatively, the amount of sexual offences committed by these people is far greater than we're finding in white British men, and those attacks are aimed at white British women. So apologies, my dogs are being naughty.
Don't worry about it. How do you know that they're all white British women, the victims?
Well, we don't
you just
know
said
that.
They were.
Well, I that's what I believe to be the case. Everything I have reported...
You are a member of Parliament. To say that
yes.
They're all white British women, and when I ask how do you know that, you say I don't know.
Predominantly, they're I believe that they're predominantly white British women.
What is that belief based on, Sarah Pochin?
Well, rape reports in my constituency, for example.
Right.
So I'm just going on evidence that I've picked up through the media, listening to reports, etc. The fact is, Nick, that these statistics now finally prove that this Labour government and the Tory government before, letting in endless amounts of migrants from countries like Afghanistan every single day across the Channel, doing absolutely nothing about it, is putting women in this country at risk.
So you and your colleagues have highlighted the problem. What do you see as the solution?
Well, the first thing we do, as you all know, is stop anybody arriving illegally on these boats from setting foot in this country. We take them off at the beaches and we take them to a offshore deportation centre and process them and send them home. We also stop the boats. We try and get in the Channel and stop the boats at the Channel point. I said earlier in the week or last week.
Sorry, when you say stop them in the Channel, how would that be affected?
What do you know? What I've put out there. Why don't we just pull out Border Force? Border Force are not doing anything. We either tell Border Force to turn them around, or do you know what? What happens if the French get to their 12-mile limit and there's nobody there to meet them? What are the French going to do with these boats?
Watch them drown.
Know. Well, the point is, Nick, something drastic has got to happen.
Well, you wouldn't support that, would you?
Support them drowning.
The French effectively turning tail, leaving at the halfway point, then they maybe splutter on for another couple of miles, the engine gives up and everybody drowns on British waters. You wouldn't support that, would you?
Nick, I don't want to see anybody drown. I do want to see this crisis stopped, and no government has managed to do that.
But when they put out an alarm call, as you'll be aware, lastly, Sarah Pochin, when an alarm call is made from one of their mobile phones that they're 10 miles off Dover, we're just going to scramble the Navy or the lifeboat to save them anyway, aren't we?
Look, all I'm saying, Nick, is that we have to move in the direction of taking drastic action. And in my view, Border Force has not been given the orders they should have been given, and that is take them back. Don't let them in. If they get to the beaches, we deport them. But the point of this conversation, Nick, is most of those men coming over now have a really warped attitude towards white British women. They are
How do you know
attacking...
it's white? Why would they not have that view lastly towards mixed-race British women, black British women? Why is it always white British women, Sarah Pochin?
That's all I can say. I'm experiencing in my constituency, everything I read in the news.
Right.
Let's not be in denial about what's going on here. These cultures do not mix. They have a warped view of women in general, and we should not be, the police should not be in denial about what is going on.
Grateful for your time. Sarah Pochin is a Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Helsby, making a lot of assertions there, some of which I don't know will be backed up by fact.
Trump, Farage and the lady you've just had on,
Sarah Pochin.
It must be obvious to every single person that they are promoting trouble this summer. It's their rhetoric is absolutely feeding into the hands of the people that want to go and cause the maximum trouble.
Well, hold on. If you want women protected in this city and indeed the whole of the country, isn't it right to highlight this issue?
Absolutely. And as I've just said at the beginning of this, absolutely, highest penalties possible. Deportation, imprisonment, everything.
How else are they going to do it unless they point to the figures, though, Dave?
I don't mind them pointing to the figures. What I do think is that the more this is put out by these people. I'm not talking about the people that collate the figures, and they've got to do that, and they've got to put it for people to know. But it's the rhetoric of Trump while he's been over. It's Farage always, and the lady I've just listened to. They know what they're doing.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
They are enticing people to get together and go and cause trouble. Peaceful protests, not a problem whatsoever. But
Dave, stay on the line. I want to bring someone in who might take issue with you on some of this. Tony's in Fareham. Are they Sarah Pochin, Nigel Farage, just stirring up trouble, do you think, Tony? Good morning.
No, she's absolutely right. You need an offshore detention centre on an island off the coast of Scotland, which used to be inhabited but isn't anymore, where accommodation, food, basic medical facilities, power is provided. Anybody there will be self-administering religiously and educationally. There'll be no need for staff. No requirement for benefits. Hold on, let me finish, please.
Well, no, because you're a little bit off ground, because the point that Dave is making is that they're deliberately almost trying to prompt some kind of riots or disturbance, is what Dave is...
I'm giving you a solution.
Yeah, but I'm asking whether you would like to respond to Dave's point, Tony, then we'll come back to it. Do you think that they are trying to deliberately stoke it up?
No, I think 40% of offences is it's black and white, isn't it? There's no doubt about it. You know what ordinary people in this country are fed up, and this is what Farage and the lady earlier, Sarah was.
Isn't that the reality, Dave? As Tony says, he's reminded us of that figure, 40%. That's what he's trying. That's what he, Nigel Farage, and she, Sarah Pochin, are trying to point out.
And absolutely, it's disgraceful. And I'll go back to my original point. Everybody that commits these crimes should be treated exactly the same with the maximum penalties.
All right. Okay. Final point. Thanks, Dave. Final point from you, Tony.
The solution I've just given you is to build an offshore facility. Use the money that
you know the lawyers won't allow them to go. You know that.
Well, it's not Rwanda. It's off the coast of Scotland, Nick. It's British territory, so it's not an issue for the ECHR.
What are they going to do all day?
Well, what are they doing here all day? They're doing absolutely nothing. They're not contributing to anything. They can look after themselves.
Are they just going to sleep under tents? Is that what we're going to do?
No. They'll have prefabricated accommodation. Water won't be an issue. Power can be generated either through generators or solar. They'll be self-administering, police-wise. They'll be religiously and educationally self-administering.
All right.
Namely, there'll be no need for staff.
Okay. All right. I will move on, because it's really about I hear that that's your solution, but this idea, of course, that Reform are seeking to stoke up some kind of division or tension. Tony, thank you for your view. Chris in Richmond. Chris, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. The rank hypocrisy of Nigel Farage. Let's talk about James McMurdoch. 21 days in the Young Offenders Institute. So elected on a reform ticket. No one knew at the last election for beating up his girlfriend.
That was back in... When was it?
Doesn't matter.
Well, no, hold on. By the way, I'm not defending domestic violence, but we had a pope who was a member of the Young Nazis. People do things in their youth. Or are we forever to hold it over? And I am not defending what he did. I'm being told it was when he was a teenager in 2006.
Fine, but okay, we can talk about the Reform candidate in Lincolnshire who stood down...
Okay. And we can talk, I say again, about the Pope who was a young Nazi. Look, are you forever tainted by that? In which case, Chris, there's no more we can say, because you just see all of them as tainted, or you see that there is a problem and it's how you deal with it.
But Nick, we can talk about the problem, absolutely. But the hypocrisy of Nigel Farage talking about crime when you've had two Reform candidates in elections last year.
So you're just. I understand why you do, and I respect it, Chris. But, because all you're going to do, you're not addressing the point of whether they're trying to stoke up tension or not.
Well, they are absolutely. They are. They absolutely are. They absolutely are.
To what end?
And yes. Well, to the end of trying to claim the country's lawless, and it's all about foreigners and migrants and immigrants, and that's and they can have that.
Do you think the country's lawless?
No, I don't. I think there is a serious problem with shoplifting, which I've talked to local, shopkeepers around. There is clearly a problem with that.
Do you feel safe in London?
I do feel safer.
I mean, your bit of London, yes, you probably do. But
Yeah,
in
I
central
do.
London,
But look, I do worry. I've got two teenage girls. I do worry a little bit. I take them to school. But at the end of the day, I think there is a problem that needs addressing. But what you have to do is use facts, right? And I thought it was good the way you addressed Sarah Pochin and said, look, Sarah, these aren't necessarily all white victims. They could be mixed racial. And this is a problem with reform. They hit on something that is potentially a problem, but they use hyperbole and they whip it up and it's all about the foreigners, right? That is not the answer. The answer is to stop the problem of people coming in the first place, treat them humanely, which may involve a processing centre abroad. It may do. And many of us have actually made the Overton window has shifted, and we need to address that fact.
Always enjoy speaking with you. Look after the family, Chris. Thank you. 8:27. Victor's in Chiswick, not that far from Richmond. Victor, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Hi, Nick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Perfectly. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So just for a bit of background, I'm a black person.
Right.
I served 10 years in the military.
Yes.
I've got a white wife. I've got a child, a daughter, who is as white-skinned as you are, and one who's more conventionally mixed race. I've got grandchildren who have got blonde hair and blue eyes. I say that just for a bit of background so you don't think I'm coming from this from a particular perspective. When you did that top leading article with the statistics, there was something about, I think it was 40% of Romanian men committing some of these crimes in London. Is that correct?
40% of people charged for sexual offences in London are foreign nationals. I don't want to misrepresent. They're not all Romanian. Romania will make a percentage, yes, of that 40%.
Right. So why I bring that point up is that the discussion has gotten into this, moving away from the fact that some of these, let's say, white-skinned people, and now there's a sort of message going out that these are all immigrants. These are people coming over on the boats who are generally seen as dark-skinned, and in doing that sort of misrepresentation of, even if it's 30% of the total white-skinned people, I don't like to call it like that, but that's why I gave you the background about my family, is that you don't think I'm doing it from some kind of black racist perspective. I've got white-skinned children, so it's absolutely not about that. But I just think it's important. When that lady, the Reform MP, was talking, and she had these numbers and statistics, which were not based on facts. She said, I've seen it in the news.
Yes.
This is what my constituents... And she was talking about rapes against white British women. What about the black British women? What about the Asian British women? A rape against a woman is a rape against a woman. It doesn't matter about the colour of the skin. So that's what I have as an issue against the Reform stance and their policy and their rhetoric.
Thank you for your input. Look after your family, and thank you for your service. And I would argue that an elected MP should actually be concerned over the victim, whether she's white, whether she's black, whether she's mixed race, as you said one of your daughters is, Victor. To an MP, it should be absolutely irrespective or irrelevant.